Very little of the original forested habitat of the Rio Grande Valley remains as this area continues to be developed. By changing the landscape, there have been some detrimental effects on certain habitats, including the spread of plants that aren't native to our environment. Next time you're out for a walk or drive, take a look around and you'll likely see them in every direction. In part one of the CBS 4 News special report, I examine the ripple effect of one type of invasive species on an ecosystem. Along with our guide, Tony Heenahan, a wildlife biologist with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, we explored a portion of the Las Palomas Wildlife Management Area. So as far as the eye can see, all this non-native.
All the grass, yep.
This particular tract offers a look at the effects of one invasive species, but what makes them this way?
It's a species that has not adapted to the area you're found in. So a good example is these non-native grasses are grasses that are native to Africa. That's where they adapted, that's where they developed and grew into what they are today. And they were picked up and then they were brought over to here and introduced here, so they're not native to this area. Native means they adapted and grew over time in that area into what they are today.
Here at the Las Palomas Wildlife Management Area, all you have to do is look in every direction and you see nothing but this old world blue stem, and it's a non-native grass.
They had these really big droughts and a lot of the native plants were dying off at huge rates, and so the cattle ranchers just couldn't keep their cattle fed and they needed a solution. And so the problem at the time was, can we get a grass that grows well in drought and sustains itself that our cattle will eat? And these non-native grasses fit that bill. But they can spread rapidly and overtake the landscape. This is important for different wildlife such as birds when they select their habitats and their nesting habitats. We'd also have a lot of flowers, and you don't see any flowers here.
And that's in just one relatively small portion of this management area. Without the understory of vegetation in this area, you can see this invasive guinea grass is starting to take over. These thirsty grasses soak up plenty of water and shade out small plants like this Tasajillo cactus.
The roots of these grasses can outcompete it for moisture, and it could die off.
Furthermore, a major challenge is they're nearly impossible to eradicate from the landscape. But there are places where natives are winning. On this particular section of land, you have what's called Tamaulipan thorn scrub. It's a great example of native habitat, not a lot of non-native species in this area of plants.
I've seen estimates as low as 3% of the historical habitat remains. So that's a white-eyed vireo that just called up there.
Much of this original habitat was cleared in the name of farming or development.
Communities like this take a really long time to develop. And that's what's really harmful, is when we've knocked down a lot of this habitat and we were to go in and maybe replant it, it would take years and years of active management to get it to come back up like this.
So ultimately, is there any way to eradicate all these non-native species from the valley?
Given infinite money, I think so, yeah, we could.
For CBS 4 News and ValleyCentral.com, reporting in the Lower Valley, I'm Dan Joseph. Well, this portion of the management area we visit isn't typically open to the public, but if you want to learn more about these invasive grasses, feel free to email Tony at the address on your screen right now. And join us tomorrow morning for part 2 of this story and find out more about what you can do with native plants at home to have a positive effect on the environment here in the valley.